You guys, welcome to Just in Time. The weirdo on the other end here. My name's Alma Merrill. I go by Clozer Cult on all of the resources online. CLOZERCULT. I'm really thankful that Justin trusted me enough to come on here and host this today. He and I have become fast friends. I've been in the business for almost 20 years. And I focus on doing for sale by owners and expireds. Real quick in the chat box, guys, if you wouldn't mind, just thank you. Appreciate that, Brian. In the chat box, if you guys wouldn't mind just identifying some wins today. What wins have you had for this week or this day? Just in the chat box, hit it up and put in your wins there. One of mine is I listed 2 properties this week. That was awesome. Great to see you guys on here. Thanks for coming on. There we go. All right, there's your chat box. Nice. Had a closing. Brought my mom home from rehab. Have 2 closings this week. Connected to the PC and listing to buy. I don't know what the end of that was there. Wrote a contract, got it accepted. Awesome. Rock on. RG lead called back immediately. Let's see. Following this, I have a FSBO listing appointment. Woo woo. Speaking my language there. All right, rock on. I guess my my horn works over here. Set 3 listing appointments this week. Well done. Competed against 3 other agents and got the listing 30,000 below what the next agent thought the home was worth. Well done. I want to share with you guys a quick little story. I just listed a house the other day. I was up against multiple agents that were trying to list the home, and they were trying to list it at a 1% listing fee. And I know we come across that a ton. And I got the listing at a full 6% listing fee. Some of you guys will list for 6, 7, 5, whatever. And I came to him and he said, look, I can go get this done for 1%. Will you at least give me a deal on it? And I said, well, let me ask you this. After you and I have chatted a little bit, is it worth it for you to list with me at the full 6%? And he goes, wow, you know what? Yeah, it is. It's worth it to me. It's worth it for me to do it. It was because I added value to that. Now, you guys don't know me from Adam. I hope that I can add value to you through this process. That is my goal for today, is to add tremendous amount of value to this. And so you guys you can go away from this seeing this as something that really added to your business and brought value to your business. I've trained a couple times with Justin and Spring and their team, and help them go through the for sale by owner market. I believe, you guys, that the for sale by owner market is the next market that's going to be critical to tap into as we go into this new market that we're going to dabble in, that we're going to play in. You obviously want to still maintain your buyers and all that good stuff. But I believe that the for sale by owner market is going to be where you can tap in, get some free money, basically. And what I mean by free is you can get for sale by owner leads really inexpensively. I personally use RedX, the real estate data exchange system. RedX is a great lead source for sale by owner and expired leads. Now, Justin asked me to come on here and just share with you what I do when I teach. I teach a lot of different events, different venues. When I first met Justin, it was actually at one of these events and we actually shared the stage, and it was the first time. And I have a dear friend named Colton Lindsay, and he connected the 2 of us. I told Justin and Spring that I had secretly wanted to share the stage with both of them. That was one of my goals for 23. And it happened immediately right at the beginning of 23. And it was a huge gift to me in my life. And I'm just thankful that I've been able to connect with them and share with them a little bit about my story. A little bit about me, guys. I grew up in Southern California. I grew up very non-conventional. There's a reason I'm going to share with you why I am this way, and why a little bit about my story. And the reason I want to share this with you is to show you that anybody can do anything that they put their mind to. So I grew up in Southern California, and I grew up in kind of a cultish environment, hence the name Clozer Cult by my screen here. People call me the closer, and so I named the company Clozer Cult. Why do I say I grew up in a cultish environment? We were raised in a family of 8 kids. My parents were kind of religious fanatics, if you will, and they also didn't allow us to go to school. So they believed that they could teach us everything that we needed to know for life within the walls of our home. And so I grew up, I couldn't read till I was 12. I couldn't spell till I was 21. And the reason I share that with you is that I could not do the typical things that my 3-year-old can do now, you know? And when I learned how to first learned how to spell and things like that, it was a challenge because spelling has all kinds of different dimensions to it. You know, there's phonics and all this stuff. I still don't know the terminologies of everything. But one thing that I did learn was I could get on the phones and I could talk to people. And for a lot of years, I just pretended that I could do things real well. For a lot of years, I pretended to have an education. And do I regret that now? Basically, I was living in a lie. I don't regret it now because of what I learned from it. But for years, I lied about, you know, things that I had accomplished in my life because my thought was that people would judge me based on my lack of education. And so I share that story with you because all I could do was get on the phone and have conversations. I mean, I couldn't even write out a contract because I couldn't spell. So, or I had just barely learned how to spell right when I got into the industry, or right before I got into the industry. And what I mean, I learned to spell is I just barely started to learn how to spell. And so I got in, I went to real estate school. It was the first classroom experience I had ever had. I passed by the grace of our Creator. I passed. I was able to, receive my my real estate license, and I went right to work. And the way I did it is I just had these paper leads that I would go through on my desk, and I would just dial individual numbers and set appointments with for sale by owners and expireds. And that's how I got appointments. And then I would go, I would, pitifully write down, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. I mean, I probably couldn't even spell bedrooms at that time, and I would just write it down and I would get the information. Then I would go back to my wife or one of my associates, and they would help me fill it out with the correct spelling and get the contract into the system and then list the home. And that's literally how I started my career. Also, because I came from California and I moved actually up here to Utah, I didn't know very many people up here. I mean, it was just a couple of college buddies, basically. And so I say college buddies loosely. I didn't go to college. They were just buddies that were in college. They came to college, so I kind of followed them up here, and I just lived in the area and got a job. Didn't know what I really wanted to do when I met this girl that I dated, ended up marrying. Fortunately, we got a divorce. But before we got a divorce, she taught me a little bit about real estate and kind of got me into real estate. And that's what I became really kind of passionate about. And then I started just making these phone calls. And the way I started out is there was a script that I was given. A lot of you have probably been given in your career on for sale by owners and expireds. I can see a lot of you up here. There's 7 pages of people on here, but will you guys raise your hand if you've ever called a for sale by owner? Okay, so a little over 50% of just the first page has called a for sale by owner. Do that again. How many of you have called a for sale by owner? Okay, cool. So about 50% of this audience has called a for sale by owner. Put in the chat real quick, why is it that you guys don't consistently call for sale by owners? If you don't, if you do, obviously that's not the question for you, but if you don't call for sale by owners consistently, put in the chat why you don't. Call reluctance, not making it a priority. They're bombarded with calls with realtors. You're lazy. Thanks, Jen, for being honest there. Hard to initiate the conversation. Can't get them to, let's see, can't get them first. Okay, yep. So you're afraid that other people get them first. New to cold calling. Okay. Not sure how to connect. Okay, cool. So all of those things are awesome. So a couple things I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share with you how to connect. Now, if for sale by owners are mean to you when you call them, it's your fault. And the reason I say it's your fault is because it's how you approach them that causes them to want to work with you. Oh, and a disclaimer, the reason my studio looks so cool is because I do a podcast. And so just, you're probably wondering, like, why is this all up here? So I have a podcast on YouTube. It's called Clozer Cult. It's also on all of the major podcast platforms as well. So that's why my room is all beautiful. But going back to that, so what I'm going to share with you is what I mean by it's your fault. When you call a for sale by owner, the most important aspect of that call is creating what I call fantastic rapport. What's the difference between regular rapport and fantastic rapport? It's your intent. It's what you intend to have happen in the conversation. The difference between fantastic rapport and regular rapport is your intent. Now, it's the difference between manipulation and persuasion, right? Is there a difference between manipulation and persuasion? There is, right? And I always ask people, what's the difference between manipulation versus persuasion? Hit in the chat real quick. What's the difference between manipulation and persuasion? It's your intent. Exactly. First one up. I think I probably gave it away a little bit, but you probably already knew that. Most people do. So it's your intent. Now you can get to the same, one's authentic, one's not, right? One's devious versus intent, genuine. Yes, great answers. So one of the things that I learned is that from the first about 5 to probably 7 years of my business, my intention was to make money. My intention was to close the deal. My intention was to put cash in my bank account. And I lost a ton of deals because of my intent, because I was trying to manipulate people to saying yes versus persuading them to do the best thing for their family. Does that make sense? So you want to take it from a perception or from an angle of persuasion rather than manipulation. I want to persuade people to do what's right. I want to persuade people to work with me because I feel like I can serve them in the best way possible. And so I'm going to share with you guys some of the things that I've done to steer away from manipulation and more towards persuasion. And one of the things that absolutely changed my business, and I've sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of homes using this method just for sell by owners. And oftentimes we find that we have, 6 or 7 different lead sources or 6 or 7 different methods. Some of you, maybe not all of you, but some of you may want to add for sell by owners to your quiver, to your repertoire, if you will, because it may bring you additional income. The reason I say that is because that income is a whole nother aspect of business that most people don't currently have, because they just simply call it, they always label it too hard, too difficult, whatever. People are mad when I call them. There's all these other agents calling them as well. But you can always turn it for sell by owner. So to give you an idea, when I first started doing for sell by owners, the script that I was using, I would set one appointment out of every 100 contacts that I made. So one appointment out of every 100 contacts. Now, that is a shitty score for those of you who are keeping track. That's terrible. It's horrible. 100 contacts to one appointment is horrible. Almost anyone can do better than that if they have the right intent. The problem was I didn't have the right intent. Plus I didn't have a very good script. So what I started to realize was, okay, this script isn't working very well. And so I need to adjust my process. And so I took that script and all the things that people said no to, I would scratch it out If they consistently said no to it, I would scratch it out, and then I would write in something that they responded to better. And over time, I just created my own script that was simple. It's one page. I use it for sell by owners and expireds. And people are like, well, don't you need to have a different script for expireds? No, you don't. You can actually literally use the exact same verbiage, same term, everything for an expired and for sell by owner. So let's role play it real quick. I'm just going to be both parties. And so this is how we're going to role play it. So you'll go ring, ring, and somebody picks up the phone. Hello. And I say, hi, hey, I was calling about, you have a home for sale? They say, yes. And I'll say, you're selling it for sell by owner, right? Because this is the very first thing that always comes up. I'm selling it for sell by owner. I'm not listing it with an agent. Okay. So I'm going to say exactly what they're already thinking in my script. Okay. Now, if you guys hit me up, if you guys want this script, hit me up at Clozer Cult on Instagram. Okay. And just hit me up on there and send me your email and I'll send you the script. Okay. But I'm going to go with it. So at CLOZERCULT. So at Clozer Cult. And then you'll just kick me your email and I'll send you the script. So on PDF form, so you can print it off. I'll also send you the listing appointment sheets that I've used for years and video links identifying how to use the script with the right voice fluctuations and things like that. So like I said, I wanted to bring as much value to this process as possible. And so I'm going to just give it all to you guys so you can use it and you can use this in your daily. Now, I had Amanda Almond hit me up the other day on Spring and Justin's team. And she said, I think she said she set 3 for sell by owner appointments the first week using my script. I was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. So jump on there, learn the script, because there's a lot that has to do with voice fluctuations and tones and rates of speech and things like that. And we can go deeper into body language and stuff like that on another call. But so that's basically the method that I use is in this script. So I'm going to share with you. So, hi, hey, I was calling about, you have a home for sale? Yes, I do. And you're selling it for sell by owner, right? Yes. Okay. My name's Alma. I'm with, whatever brand you're with. I'm with Real. I'm sure you've had just a ton of agents calling you trying to list your home, right? And I'm going to hit them with those 2 things. I'm sure you're selling your home for sell by owner, and I'm sure you've had a ton of agents calling you trying to list your home. The reason I hit them with those first is those are their first 2 objections. And so it kind of takes the ammo out of their gun. I've had a lot of people say, man, it disarms them so quickly. It does, because you're literally speaking their exact language. And then I'll say, well, fortunately, the purpose for my call is we just sold a couple other properties not far from you. And I was just calling to get some info about this home. Is that okay? Now, when I say we just sold a couple properties, what I mean is our company. Okay? You don't have to be the one that sold properties recently in the area. You could have sold none in your entire career. But if you're identifying that we, meaning our company, just sold a couple other properties not far from you, it's all very subjective information and it's all true. So it gives you kind of an ability to utilize the numbers and things like that of your company or your team, and use those numbers to your benefit in this script. Fortunately, the purpose for my call is we just sold a couple other properties not far from you, and I was just calling to get some info on this house. Is that okay? Now, that's the entire first section of the script. And you'll learn this as when I send you the link as well, is that there's 3 sections to every script. And what's so fascinating to me is that nobody ever identifies these sections. There are coaches and trainers and mentors and real estate, this and that, but nobody will identify what processes you take to get people to the close. Brian Tracy says that Brian, what is it? Brian Tracy? Brian Tracy. Am I saying? Yeah, I was thinking Paul Tracy, the race car driver, but yes, Brian Tracy, the sales guy. Brian Tracy says if you get to the close, the person you're trying to close and the person who is closing barely even feels that you're getting to the close. And so you'll take them through this process. That's the wall that I call that first section. So it's that. I'll go through it one more time. Hi, hey, I was calling about, you have a home for sale? And they say, yes. And you're selling it for sale by owner, right? Yes. Okay. Well, my name's Alma. I'm with ABC Realty. I'm sure you've just had a ton of agents calling you trying to list the home, right? And then they'll go, oh yeah, I've had like 400. And you kind of laugh and share in the moment with them. And then you just say, well, fortunately, the purpose for my call is we just sold a couple other properties not far from you there. So I was just calling to get some info about this home. Is that okay? Now, guys, if you use the right voice fluctuations, the tones and the rates of speech, 9 times out of 10, you will get an affirmative answer to that. They'll say, yeah, you can ask me questions. And the reason I ask permission is because it takes all of that, what all the other agents do when they hit the scripts and hit the phone, they're trying to prove to that person why they have value. Well, I haven't proved anything to them other than I'm inquiring about the property and I need more information on the property. And I ask them if it's okay. Like, why are we not asking them if it's okay? We're calling them on their phone or on their home, and we are taking their time. When you ask them, is that okay? It's very disarming. And when you're doing this, guys, you are the entire purpose of them using you versus doing it on their own is to reduce the risk of them working with you. I see a bunch of you shaking your heads. Yes, it's true. If you can reduce the risk of them working with you, then they will work with you, meaning that you add value to their life. You take something that's a burden out of their hands. You do it for them. So your entire purpose is to reduce the risk of them doing it on their own. And the way next section you do is then you'll go into what I call the rapport section. So the first section is the wall. You ask those questions, that wall comes down, they say yes. And then you say, okay, well, tell me a little bit about it. How many bedrooms does it have? Then they go in and they say, 3 bedrooms. Now here's where the difference between fantastic rapport and regular rapport comes in. Fantastic rapport, you're going to say, regular rapport, you're going to say things like 3 bedrooms. Okay. And how many bathrooms? 4. Okay. 4 bathrooms. And how many square feet? 3,270. Okay. 3,270. That's normal rapport. When you're just repeating and reaffirming what they're saying. Fantastic rapport is, oh, there are 4 bedrooms. Oh, wonderful. Okay. So share with me, where are they located? Are they on the top floor or the bottom floor? Have you done any upgrades to them? Are they nice? How's the carpet? That's fantastic rapport. You're asking them questions about the house in a way that's inquisitive, and it fills up your cup of things that you can ask them. Because if I'm a realtor, and I visually want to identify this house, I'm going to write these things down, and then I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to visualize a bedroom, and I'm going to say, okay, and is there a bathroom in any of those bedrooms? And have you put in any new carpet or paint? And have you done any additional upgrades to the bedrooms? Then they're responding to you. The more that they're responding to you affirmatively, the higher that rapport starts to go. Does that make sense? So then you're going to go into, okay, so how many bathrooms? We have 4 bathrooms. Oh, you do? Wonderful. Okay. And are they all full bathrooms, or are they half bath or 3/4 baths? Oh yeah, there's 3 full baths and 1 3/4 bath. Okay. So it just has a shower and a toilet and a sink. Yes. Okay. Wonderful. And the other ones have a full tub and everything. Yes. Okay, great. So you're just going to be a little bit more inquisitive. Instead of just getting the answer and saying, okay, and getting to the next question, you're going to be more inquisitive on those things. Now, put real quick in the chat, what is the difference between having something in common or having rapport? Is there a difference? What's the difference between having something in common versus having rapport? Okay, trust. Trust again. Yep. There's difference, and it is trust. Beautiful. You're caring, trust, rapport, getting trust, common ground, genuine conversations, truth. Okay, beautiful. One makes professional, the other makes you a friend. Yes, exactly. Rapport. So I love that. Let's talk a little bit about that. One makes you a professional, one makes you a friend. Relationship, mutual understanding. Yes, those are beautiful. Rapports are built. Yep, rapport is built. So the difference between having something in common and having great rapport or fantastic rapport is I could go in and I could go build rapport on something that I have in common with them. I could choose anything, right? Here's a great example of that. I remember I was going on this listing appointment. I said it just like with using the script, and I walked in and I hear this clock up on the wall. There's this guy's clock on the wall, and it's a Harley clock, and I love Harleys, right? And the Harley clock goes, vroom, 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 and it's this awesome sound. And I'm like, oh, cool. It's a Harley clock. You like Harleys? I like Harleys. And he's like, oh yeah, love Harleys, And he's like, oh, I got 4 of them out in the garage, And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, you want to see them? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And I'm thinking to myself, oh man, this is a great way to build a rapport with this guy, right? And so I go out, we go into the garage, and he's got them all lined up, and they're beautiful, and they're like perfectly symmetrical. And you can tell he's like wiped them down with a little diaper every day. And he's just like worships these Harleys. And we go in and we spend the next hour and a half talking about, guess what? Harleys. Well, that wasn't my purpose for being there. My purpose for being there was to talk about the house. Well, then I burn all of my time. I've got to go. He's got to go. We walk back into the kitchen. I'm thinking, dude, this is a slam dunk. And I walk out of the house without getting a contract. I have tremendous rapport on something that we have in common, but it unfortunately was not the house. So if I was trying to sell Harleys, I think I would have done a pretty damn good job selling a Harley to that guy, or I would have bought one of his Harleys, But in reality, I spent the entire time building rapport on the one thing that I didn't come for. And so what I learned from that is that from then on, I need to build rapport on the thing that I'm coming for. And that is the house. And so instead of asking about the Harleys, or instead of commenting on the Harleys, I'm going to comment on the house. I'm going to ask them about the house. And what I learned is I can build fantastic rapport, just like I did with the Harleys, but just simply asking about the house. And then at the end, they view me as, instead of a friend, they also view me as a professional. Not instead of a friend, but additionally, they view me as a professional. And I want it both. I want it both, guys. Call me greedy. I want it both. I want them to view me as a professional. I want them to view me as a friend. I want them both. And the reason I want that is because they will build trust, like you guys put in the chat. And they'll see me as somebody who can actually do the right job that they asked me to do. Okay, so that's the difference between having something in common and building rapport on it, and having rapport on the thing that you want done. And oftentimes people are like, I'm going to build rapport based on talking about things we have in common. I would advise you that when you go in, talk about the house to build that rapport, not the Harley, not the car in the driveway, not the dogs out back. You can touch on those things because they will come up in conversation, but get right back to, and share with me how, what are you ultimately trying to accomplish? So that's the difference between fantastic rapport, regular rapport, difference between rapport and what you have in common. Next section, we're going to go in and we're going to ask some more questions about the house before we get to the house. So we're going to talk about the yard, the kitchen, tons of upgrades we can talk about in the kitchen. And this all builds rapport while you're on the phone. Then when you close them while you're on the phone, that's the third section. So the first section is the wall you have to bring down for them to say yes to you asking questions. The second section is rapport. You build a rapport through things involved with the home. And the third portion of that is you close them. Now, like I said, Brian Tracy said, if you close a property or if you close somebody, yes, keeping in communication so you know where they're at in that moment. Love it. Yes. Makes you look like yep, exactly. Boundary. Yep, exactly. Okay. So then you're going to go into the close. So let's look at the close. If I'm on the phone with them, I ask them all these questions. We build fantastic rapport. Then we go to the last section of this, which I call the close. And you'll just simply say, you know what? I don't know. And this is on the phone. You know what? I don't know if this will work for you or not. It may not, but I'm sure there's a certain amount of cash you need to get out of the home in order to make it worth it for you to sell, right? And they're going to say, yes, there's a certain amount of cash, right? There always is. And then you'll say, and like I said, I don't know if this would work for you or not. It may not, but obviously, I mean, if we could figure out a way that by working together, we could get the property sold by listing it and obviously net the amount of money that you need and literally put in your pocket the amount of cash you're trying to get. I mean, obviously you'd be open to at least exploring that, right? And they'll say, yeah, I would. And then you'll say, okay, what works best for you, afternoons or evenings? And that's the entire script. Now let's assume that this is an expired listing. You call up the expired listing, you know it fell off the market. You're going to call them and use the for sale by owner script the same way. A lot of people will be like, wait, don't I want to tell them I saw it that it expired off the market? No, you don't need to. They'll tell you everything that you need to do. So the simplicity of this, you guys, is being able to do both things, for sale by owners and expireds. And then you can implement this into all other aspects of your business too. Your relationship. It's not manipulation, it's persuasion. So you can utilize both of these by using the same script. Okay. And then also I'm going to send you the second page that I have, which is objection handling. And then what you say after you set the appointment. Okay. So then you're going to go into, let's say you set the appointment, you're coming over Thursday. Let's say you talk to the wife on the phone, okay? And both her and her husband, they decided to do it for sell by owner for their own reasons, right? Usually it's to do what? Everybody put in the chat. Why do they do it for sell by owner? Why did they choose to do it for sell by owner? Make more money, save the commission, avoid commission, more money, more money. Yep. They don't want to pay the commission, save money. Exactly. Easy solution, right? So you either need to increase the value of this property or make them more money, right? Both of those things you can do that, or bring them tremendous value. So you can either make them more money to cover your commissions, or you bring them so much value that they want to pay you commission to do it. Okay. Yep. They want to keep the value. They want to keep the money for themselves. Don't see value in agents. Happens all the time. So what's going to happen is, the wife sets the appointment with me because I persuaded her to say yes. What's the husband going to do when he gets home and he finds out that she just set an appointment with a realtor? What's he going to do? Put it in the chat. What's he going to say to her? Cancel. Yeah, cancel that. Stop it. Why'd you do that? Yep, exactly. What the hell are you thinking? You fell for it. I can't believe it. Yep. She's in the doghouse. Are you effing kidding me? Exactly. That's what they're going to say. And so after I set the appointment with her, I am going to give her something to say to him. Okay. So after I say, okay, great, I'll see you Thursday at 4, then I'll say this to her. And just so you know, when I come out, I don't have any high pressure sales pitch or any of that junk. We're just going to simply look at the numbers, see if it all makes sense, make sure you guys can net the cash that you need and that the numbers work. And if it does work, great, we will list the home. And if not, no big deal. Fair enough. She's going to go, yeah, fair enough. That's great. That way, when he gets home and he goes, no, I told you not, blah, 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 blah. I'm not, I told you, right? She's going to say, well, honey, he said he's just going to come check the numbers. He has no high pressure sales pitch or anything like that. Just going to see what the numbers are and see if it makes sense. And if not, he said, no big deal. Because oftentimes you'll get that process. You set this amazing appointment. She's expecting you to come over. Then she tells him, and then he forces her to go cancel, or vice versa. And so if you can give her something to say to him, I often say this as well. You know what, Janet? I know Brian's not currently home right now. just so you know, and just so you can tell him when I come out, I don't have any high pressure sales pitch or anything like that. We'll just simply look at the numbers, see if it makes sense. If it does make sense, cool. Well, maybe we can list the home. If not, no big deal. Is that fair? Yeah, that's fair. And do you think he'll be okay with that as well? Yeah, I think he'll be okay with that. Okay. And then it concretes it into her mind that she can say this to him. And so I just gave her a little script that she can use when Brian gets home so that he's not pissed off. Does that make sense? All right. And that is the for sale by owner script. And like I said, I will kick you guys a link and I'll share that with you. I don't even know how much time we have left. What do we have left? It's, let me see if I can go over. Yeah, we got time. Okay, cool. So I want to go over real quick some objections. So I want to live solve your objections. Let's see. How do you open that script as an expired? Okay, so let's do that real quick. Okay, so how do you open it as an expired? Great question. So let's say I call an expired. They fell off the market. Some schmuck agent who's also on this stream couldn't sell it. And so now you got to get on here and you got to show them up and sell the house, right? So you're going to call them and you're going to say, you're going to go ring, ring. And they're going to say hello. And I'm going to say, hi, hey, I was calling about, you have a home for sale? And they say, yes. And then you'll say, and you're selling that for sale by owner, right? And they're going to say, no, actually we had it listed with an agent, but it didn't sell. And so now we don't really know what we're going to do. Or sometimes they'll say, now we're selling it for sale by owner, because the default is they're either going to relist it with somebody else. They don't know what to do, or they're going to do it for sale by owner for a while. So you're literally going to use the exact same script. So great question, Chris Reese. That's how you respond. You use the same script because the outcome is the same. They take you right down into their rabbit hole and give you the information that you wanted. So any other questions about that script? Expireds for sale by owner script. Now, one thing that I've learned, let's see, what about when the expires say they are no longer selling? Great question. So I love this question. You know what? We've just decided we're not going to sell. So it goes back to what questions do you ask them to find out why they're selling in the first place? We're no longer selling. Okay, well, share with me. I mean, why were you selling in the first place? Well, we really wanted to move to Florida, but the market has changed and this isn't working for us. So we're just going to hold off for a little bit. And so the question, the way to answer that question is asking more questions. We're no longer selling. Share with me why you were selling in the first place. And then what it usually comes down to is they don't think they're going to be able to make the money that they needed to get to Florida. And so my question to them is, if we can net you the cash that you need to get and put in your pocket the amount of money that you need to get to Florida, would you still be open to listing and selling your property now? Their answer is inevitably, well, yeah, or typically yes. So hopefully that answers your question there. So that's how you answer that question. Well, we're not selling anymore. So you just ask them, if we can net you the amount of cash you need and put in your pocket the amount of money you're trying to get, would you be open to still selling the property and moving to Florida? If they could do it, then 9 times out of 10, they'll say yes. They'll be like, yeah, I mean, if we could, we would, right? It's kind of one of those if then, if we could get you to Florida, then would you sell the house? That type of thing. One-to-one appointment originally. What is a good conversation when calling expireds and FSBOs? Let's see, 100-to-1 appointment originally. Okay, so I'm trying to understand what you mean by that, Sandy. To give you an idea, though, when I started, I had a 100-to-1 appointment ratio. Now I will set 3 to 4 out of every 5 contacts that I make with for sale by owners and expireds. Some of you be like, no, that's BS. That's bullshit. It's actually true. It really is true. I will set, if I call 5 and I contact 5 for sale by owners, I will set 3 to 4 of them every single time. So my prospecting day looks like about 30 minutes worth of time. So, because what I did is I use a dialer so I can call through my dials. And then my goal every day is about 2 appointments in 30 minutes. And that typically happens for me. And the people that doubt that, Go online. You can watch video after video after video of that actually happening to prove to yourself that it's possible, because it is. It's all about how you say it and what you say to the people that will cause them to respond. So yeah, it is possible to go from 100 to 1 appointment ratio down to, 3 to 4 out of every 5. Now that you're schooled, what should you expect? Okay, let's see. Have you ever tried Mojo Fizbo data? Do you try Zillow? Make Me Move. So I really simplify the process. So I will pull leads from Zillow. The best resource to do that is the Red X. So if you guys go to redx.com/Clozer Cult, you'll actually get $150 off your sign up by using my affiliate link. So redx.com/Clozer Cult. Let me put that in here. www.redx.com/ I'm sorry, it's actually /Clozer-Cult. I'm trying to get them to change that. So there you go. So this is actually what it is. No, hold on. I didn't put a D in. That no schooling that I had. Okay, here you go. So there's the link. That's the affiliate link. That'll give you $150 off of your lead source at RedX. They're one of my sponsors, and so they've kind of made me an affiliate with their company. But what that does is those leads, what they do is they'll go on to Zillow, they'll go on to your local for sell by owner websites, for sellbyowner.com, and they will fish all this data for you, and they'll send it to you on the lead system. And then you just push go on your dialer, and you can have a 1 to 3 line dialer. And you can literally just call through these leads and just get through them really quick. And so that's part of my secret to being able to just spend about 30 minutes on the phone every day. I don't have to spend 3, 4, 5 hours doing this anymore. This is just about 30 minutes. Now, granted, I also have somebody on my team who calls for about 4 hours a day, setting appointments for me as well. So that makes it really nice as well, because for every 5 listing appointments that you set, you will list 1 home on average. And this is actually across the board. So for every 5 that you set, you'll list 1. The reason for that is because a couple will drop out, somebody will dog you, 1 will cancel, and 1 will really want you to come. That's just kind of how it works out. Now, sometimes that's a little bit higher, sometimes that's lower, but that's your average. For every 5 listing appointments you set, you'll list 1 home. So any other, let's see. I bought this for my team 2 weeks ago, and one of my agents is en route listing to this call on the way to FSBO listing appointment. Beautiful. Rock on, Megan. That's awesome. Glad to hear that. So yeah, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of value in this process. Do you still go super in depth on properties that are expired and asking about their property when you can see everything on MLS? I do. And the reason I do that, here's a great example of that. There was another one that I just listed this week. It actually goes live on tomorrow after the photography is done. They were listed and the MLS data was wrong. The MLS data was wrong. It did not list one of their full bathrooms. It did not list any of where the bedrooms were on the property. So the MLS data was totally wrong. And I still ask them the questions because that's how I'm building fantastic building fantastic rapport. So I'm still going to ask them the questions, even if I have it all in front of me, for those 2 reasons. 1, sometimes the MLS is wrong. 2, I want to build rapport. And the best way to build rapport is by asking them about the house. So I would say something like, look, I know you had it listed. I know it was on the MLS and that information is there. Do you mind if I clarify everything? Because sometimes the information online is wrong. So that's how I hope that answers your question, Sandy Erickson. Any other questions, guys? All right. So if there's no other questions, if there are, feel free to just stick them up there and I'll answer them as we go along. Next section, I want to go into objection handling. So for those 50% of you who have called for sell by owners, what are the objections you get Or what's the worst objection you can get that bothers you when you call for sale by owners, that kind of stops you from calling them or creates a little bit of fear in your desire to call them? I already listed. Yeah, that would definitely stop. I don't know how to overcome that one. They don't want to pay a commission. Okay, let's do that one, and I'll kind of scroll through these. You know what? I don't want to pay a commission. I want to do it on my own. So my response to that is just simply this. Yeah, you know what? I would feel the same way if I were you. I wouldn't want to pay a commission either if I were you. So let me ask you this. I know there's a certain amount you need to net out of the home, right? After it's done. Yeah, they'll usually say yes. Then I'll just go right back to the script. So if we can net you the cash that you need, even after paying commissions, and sell the home faster than you could sell it on your own, I mean, obviously you'd be open to at least exploring that, right? That's it. Because you always want to go back to their core purpose. Their core purpose is I want to net X amount of money. So if we could do that for you. And if you guys notice, psychology wise, I'm actually saying both things. I'm saying cash and I'm saying money. If we could figure out a way to net you the amount of cash you need and put in your pocket the amount of money you're trying to get, obviously you'd be open to at least exploring that, right? I'm using both words for the same meaning. The reason I do that is because some people will view money different than they view cash, right? Don't we? Like if I'm buying something, and let's say I want to go buy a new truck, okay, or a new car, right? I'm going to use cash to do that usually. That's at least the way I view it. If I'm using money, I'm using money to pay my bills. That's just personally how I view that resource. It's an energy thing, right? Cash, it gives me a strong energy of excitement that I get to use that cash for a vacation or a car or a motorcycle or whatever. Money is the thing that pays off my bills. Money is the things I put away for my kids' or my kids' education. That's money. Cash is that thing I can go spend and enjoy and have fun. So depending on what they're trying to accomplish, I will use both terms. All right. Let me go on a couple of these other ones. Take me off of your list. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Can I ask you a couple of questions real quick about the home before I take you off my list, just so I'm sure what I have here as far as information? Well, what do you mean? Well, I have some information on here. I want to make sure that I get all the information off of here. Are you still selling it, by the way? And then they'll say yes. So if they're like, hey, take me off your list, is what I'm going to say to them. Are you still selling it, by the way? I'll be more than happy to take you off my list. Are you still selling it, by the way? Yeah, we are, but we're not using an agent. Yeah, I'd feel the same way if I were you. Fortunately, and I go right into that part of the script. Fortunately, the purpose for my call is we just sold a couple other properties not far from you there. So I was just calling to get some info about this home. Is that okay? And then 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, yeah, that's okay. All right, let's see. Some of you, let's see. Hey, Diego, looks like you're unmuted. Would you mind muting back up here real quick? I don't want you to have a sexy conversation with your significant other and have us all hear it. All right, let's see. I like working alone. Okay, that's a great one. I don't need you to sell my house. Yeah, so Brian, that's a great question. You know, I don't need you to, I had a guy the other day do this when I was in a live training. Yeah, I don't need you to sell my house. I can sell my house on my own. I would say, yeah, you know, it sounds like this isn't your first rodeo. I'm sure you have every ability to be able to sell your home. At the same time, I'm sure there's a certain amount of cash you need to net out of the home in order to make it worth it for you to sell, right? Well, what do you mean by that? Well, I'm sure there's like a minimum amount you have to net in order for you to want to sell it, right? And that's why you want to do it on your own. So you just bring them back to that script. The script is complete enough that it's almost your entire objection handling. The script is so complete, it almost handles all of your objections if you just kind of go back to it. Let's see. Okay. Seller yells, no agents. All right. So here's a great one. You'll always get people, I'm not working with agents, right? When they pick up the phone, don't call me back, right? So that the script is designed to go around that process. And what I mean by that is if you call somebody the right way, they won't actually assume you're an agent right away. And so it takes a couple seconds. You need to disclose that you're an agent, but there's no law that says you have to disclose that you're an agent within a certain, right up front first paragraph or whatever. You still will, but you'll do it this way instead. Instead of calling and saying, "Hi, my name's Alma with ABC Realty," you say it this way. "Hi, hey, I was calling about, you have a home for sale?" And they say, "Yes." And then you're selling that for sale by owner, right? "Yes." "Okay. Well, my name's Alma with ABC. I'm sure you've had just a ton of agents calling you trying to list your home, right?" So that's how you kind of no agents, okay? Because he's not going to assume you're an agent right when he picks up the phone. He only assumes you're an agent when you say, "Hi, this is Alma with ABC Realty. Is this the owner? Hi, I'm calling about the home for sale. Is this the owner?" So if you're saying the same things that all the other agents say, then you're going to be perceived as an agent. Or if you up front say, "Hey, my name's Alma. I'm with ABC Realty. I was calling about the home for sale. Are you the owner?" That's how you get people to say, "I'm not working with an agent," and then they hang up on you. So great question. That's why you kind of go around it and get to the who you are kind of at the end of the question. Let's see. What if it's not true you sold down the street? I didn't say you sold down the street. So to answer that question, Jen, that's actually a great question. I get that a lot. I never said you sold down the street. I said we sold a couple properties not far from you. We meaning my company. Or you could even say, "Hey, my company, we just sold, me and my company, we just sold, or our company just sold a couple properties not far from you." You could literally say that. Then they go, "Oh, okay. So which ones did you sell?" And if your company does any amount of business, you're going to be able to say, "Well, we just sold one over in, Springtimeville, and I noticed you're next door in Morning Gloryville." Like, so you'll just say, "You know what? We just sold a couple other properties not far from you." So that way you're not saying down the street. You're not implying something that isn't true. I 100% don't agree with the scripts that say, "Hey, I have buyers in the area. Can I come preview your home?" And then you kind of use that as a front to get in the door. You don't want to start one of the most important conversations that they will probably have in their life with a lie. You want to be absolutely authentic and truthful in why you're calling. So that's why I put this script together in this way, so that when I'm calling them, I can actually have integrity through the process. And when I said earlier that the first 5 to 7 years of my business, I lied to people, that's what I meant. I would lie to them. I would call them up and I would say, "Hey, I sell a lot of homes. I'm working with a lot of buyers in the area. Can I come preview your home and see if it matches with my buyers, just to get me in the door?" And then I would get there and they'd be like, "Hey, I thought you said you had a buyer. Where's your buyer? You said you're going to come preview the home for your buyer, but all you're doing is talking about listing my home." And I found that was not the best way to start an integral conversation with honesty with a client. And so that's why I switched that up. But great question, Jen. What is if their bottom line doesn't equate? What if they are asking too much? How do you help them net something unrealistic? Okay. You're not gonna be able to help them net something that the market won't dictate. I don't care what's unrealistic. I only care about what's possible. We don't price homes, guys. We don't price homes. The market prices homes, right? I know a lot of you are in here going, "Yes, so the market prices homes." We don't price them. The market prices homes. Our responsibility is to help them get to what they're trying to get. If I can't get them their bottom line, I'll be candid with them and share with them, "Hey, look, I know your bottom line was 450. If you work with me, I'll be candid with you. I don't think we can get you 450, but I promise I'll tell you the truth throughout the process. My goal for your property would be closer to probably 425, because that's what the market is telling us." And you're going to have this conversation as you're showing them the comps. Now, another thing that I also do, guys, is some of you will be like, "What the heck?" I have an iPad that I take around with me that has cellular service. I comp their home while they're sitting next to me. I comp their home while they're sitting next to me so that they can see the homes that are in their market, the ones that have recently sold, and what they're up against. That way, they're not questioning my numbers. There's no question about the data. Does that make sense? So that's just me. That's how I do it. So if they're asking too much, then I can show them they're asking too much by the data that they saw me input into the computer right there. And so if you guys have the ability to do that, it's, in my opinion, a huge benefit to them, is to comp the home while you're with them in front of them. There is nothing to hide. So, and I just do a simple comparable, pull up, listings that are like theirs that just sold or that are currently on the market. I show them where what caused a property to sell price wise. I show them what they're up against. And 9 times out of 10, those ones that sold already are going to price, less than what they want to, what they're wanting to get. Also, there's a difference between what they want and what they need. And I find that out every time I go. So that was a great question. How often do you call them and do you leave messages? Yes, I do call them. I'll just put them in my dialer until I get them on the phone. If I have a conversation that gets abruptly ended, they hang up or something, I'll leave them in my dialer and I'll call them back. Many times I have listed properties that I made 10 to 12 calls to before they picked up the phone and said yes to an appointment. So I just leave them in there until we have a really bad experience and can't work together anymore. What do you say when they when they say all the info of my home, including pictures, are on Zillow? That is a fantastic question, because what they're doing is you call them, they'll say, all my info's on Zillow. Okay, all of it's on Zillow. Just look it up. And I'll say, you know what? I actually don't have Zillow up right now. And I was just trying to kind of identify where your value is at. Do you mind if I just ask you a few questions about it while I have you on the phone here? And I'll say also, sometimes Zillow is wrong. Sometimes their data is incorrect. And here's the truth, especially here in Utah. Zillow's wrong here in Utah like 50% of the time. And the reason for that is because Zillow is a California company. And in California, they only accept single level living above grade homes as square footage. In Utah, we have a ton of basements that we live in and that we finish off. And so in Utah, we accept the upper level and the subterranean level as usable square footage. And that's how we price our homes. In California, they don't do that. And so Zillow oftentimes screws that up, and you'll see a 3,200 square foot home that only shows, 1,500 square feet instead of 3,200, because the rest of that square footage is in the basement and under the garage, under the slab. So hopefully that helps you there. Great idea. Show them my comps while at the appointment. Yep, I definitely do that. How do you ask them about the net number? Let's see. How do you ask about the net number on call or appointment? Okay, great question. I just ask them. I mean, we're so hesitant all the time. Like, am I going to be getting too personal? No, I just ask them. It's usually the way you ask them, Molly. So it's the way you ask them. It's like, well, okay. And how much, actually, this is how I do it. Let me tell you how I do it. I'll say, so how much do you need to net, or how much do you owe on the property? So I ask them both questions. How much do you need to net, or how much do you owe on the property? And they'll almost 9 times out of 10, they'll tell me both. So I ask them, to answer your question, Molly, I ask them both. So I'll say, so how much do you need to net, or how much do you owe on the property? Just like that. And then they'll say, oh, well, I need to net, $450. I owe $370. So they'll usually tell me both if I ask 2 questions at a time. Yeah, you can say that too. You can say Zillow doesn't update regularly. That's a great comment. Let's see. Where can we find the scripts, please? Yes. So where you can find the scripts is go onto Instagram. Or here, let me give you my email too. If you don't have Instagram, it's right here in the chat. Alma L. Merrill, MERRILL @gmail.com. So you can email me too, and I'll give those to you. So Alma L. Merrill @gmail.com. is my email, and I'll email those to you as well. What I recommend you do as well is just go on my Instagram. If you have Instagram, just hop on there and send me a message, and then we can be friends. And then I'll also send you that. Plus you can see all my content on there. And then also I have a YouTube channel as well. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this was extremely helpful for you. We are right at 1 hour here. Thank you for being on here. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to stay on here for a couple more minutes for those of you that have additional questions, and I'm going to answer as many questions as I can get to for the next probably 3 to 5 minutes. So you're welcome. Thank you. I hope that it was valuable. I hope that you guys saw value out of this and that I did Justin proud on this, because I know this is like Justin's baby, man. So I know he loves this group. He was talking it up. He's like, bro, I just want you to know I've never had anybody. He said, I've only had 2 other people host Just in Time for me. He's like, it's my baby. I love it. So I'm thankful to be able to feel grateful. What a gift to be able to be on here with you guys. And then, so yeah, any other questions? Thanks, Dream Utah Homes. Appreciate you guys. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much, you guys. Yeah, hit me up if you guys have any other. Yeah, I'll be candid. I haven't used Vulcan 7 as much as I've used Red X, but I have seen it, and I like the Red X platform better than Vulcan 7. Also, I know the company Red X. I'm a little bit biased because I'm one of their affiliates. But what I love about Red X is their simplicity and how they sync their leads with their dialer. Instead of going and getting leads from somebody else and then inputting them into like a Mojo dialer, I can literally just turn on my Red X. The leads are there, the dialer's there, and I just push go. That's why I use and love Red X. You're welcome. You're welcome. Let's see. Any books or channels to learn about tonality? Yeah. Go on my channel onto Clozer Cult. It's right here on my little chat, or on my picture here. Go to YouTube on Clozer Cult, and there's a ton of videos that I have on there. Geez, I probably have dozens of hours that go over live calls. The best way to identify tonality is by watching live calls and copying that. Also, I always record what I am saying, and I play it back to myself so that I can hear my own voice. Because sometimes our tones, our rates of speech, our fluctuations in our voice, sometimes they're not what we think they are until you hear yourself say them, and then you can learn from that. Let's see, any books. Let's see. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Do you do mailings? I don't do mailings personally. I haven't found them to be, I used to. I did monthly mailings and catalogs, and I did those personal branded magazines that I would send out to people and stuff. I'll be candid. The best way to get responses from people is by calling them on the phone. That's just been, for me, shoulder to shoulder or ear to ear is the best type of communication. Do I leave messages? Yeah, Sandy. So I do leave messages, and they sound like this. Ring, ring. Hi, I'm not home right now. Leave a message. Beep. Hi. Hey, this is Alma with ABC Realty. I'm sure you've had a ton of agents calling you trying to list the home. Fortunately, the purpose for my call is we just sold a couple other properties not far from you there. So I was just calling to get some info on the home. If you could net the amount of cash you need by us working together, I'm sure you'd be open to at least exploring that. If so, give me a call back. If we can net you what you need to, obviously let's work together and get this home sold for you so you can move on to your next phase. Give me a call back, 801, blah, 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 right? And that's it. So yes, I do leave messages, Sandy. Great question. Let's see. Yes, Clement. Yes. Cheapest too. FSBO and expired leads are the cheapest leads that you can buy, in my opinion. Buyer leads are very expensive. I mean, you're 30, 40 grand a month sometimes on Teams for buyer leads. I mean, that is expensive. So if I'm just an individual agent making calls in my office or in my house, for sell by owner leads are really cheap. They're as cheap as $39 a month. If you use my affiliate code, it'll save you $150 setup fee. And you can get just like you can buy per county that you're in, and then they'll send you all those leads. Do you text if they don't answer the phone? You know, you could, but I don't, just for time's sake. Brian, that's a great question. For time's sake, I don't. If you have very few leads in your area, then yeah, I would text, I'd call, I'd send them a little quick video message. Hey, how's it going? Sorry, I was trying to call you on your home for sale. I just literally record it on my phone and I'll send it right to them. I'll text it right to them because I want them to see me. They can hear me. So yeah, great question. And I've done that a ton. And I do get people calling me back on both of those video texts and on my voicemails. I do get people calling me back. So feel free to jump off, guys. If you're done, feel free to disconnect, but I'll keep answering questions here. Do I get into the statistics of FSBO home sales versus home sales with realtors? Great question. Man, you got a lot of great questions. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. If I feel like they're a analytical person and they need that data, I will. Otherwise, I'll just simply say things like, you know, typically I'll give them my stats, right? Typically I can net people between, 6 and 8% more than if they did it on their own. So I'll usually tell them stuff like that. Or I'll tell them something like this, a lot of people have heard of Dave Ramsey, right? Well, Dave Ramsey says, hey, use an agent, stop beating around the bush. Statistically speaking, an agent will sell your home for 6 to 8% more than you can do on your own. So just get an agent. They'll do all the negotiating for you. And then he goes and pitches his endorsed local providers, So, yeah. So sometimes I'll bring up that. Do you know Dave Ramsey? Yeah, we do. Yeah. So the same thing that Dave Ramsey says, I would just echo, agents always will net you, or most of the time will net you more money than you can do it on your own. So yeah, I'll just usually kick them that. All right, guys, thank you so much. Any other questions? That could backfire though, right? 6% commission and netting 6% more is a wash. Yeah. And sometimes people, that's a great response. Sometimes people will work with you, even if it's if it's a wash, because you're providing fantastic value. So even if they're still going to net about the same, or even a little bit less than they would if they did on their own, if you bring enough value to the table, they will still work with you. If they say no, that's because you didn't bring enough value. So yeah, great question, Chris. Wonderful question. Do I have more success in expires or FSBOs? It's about the same. So, because it's the same goal, right? They're already selling their home. The difference between an expired, they're already selling their home and they couldn't do it with an agent. The for sale by owner, they're already selling it on their own and they haven't used an agent. So you just have to convince them to work with you. I like Justin's idea about showing them what they need to do on their own to sell it. Tell them how can they get that done is just too much work for them. Yes, I like that strategy as well. And if that's how you can kind of add value, right? You can say, hey, yeah, RedX link. So it's redx.com. So redx, oops, hold on. /CLOZER -CULT. So redx.com. I left out the X again. All right. So redx.com /Clozer Cult. Oh, hold on. For some reason it is not working. It's for some reason the chat is frozen on my side as far as being able to just put that up there. So it's redx.com /CLOZER-CULT. So redx.com /Clozer-Cult, CULT. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on just in time. If you guys need anything else or you have any other additional questions, please feel free to hit me up at Clozer Cult, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And then my email address, alma lmerrill@gmail.com. You guys take care, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a great one.